Well, hi, everybody. Welcome out to Carrabba's, another Thursday visit with Orange head coach Jim Boeheim on QSportsTalk.com. Matt Park in for Gomez tonight, and I'm sure we'll have Gomez back and healthy and ready to rock next week, Coach. But here we are, bringing an end to our weekly visit. We've talked basketball and press conferences this week. A lot of both.
Gomez fakes it a couple times a year. He just takes a couple nights. He's out to dinner someplace.
I thought that when we did see him come in just to get his food to go, I thought that was a little suspicious. Yeah, he's a good bet to miss that show between Christmas and New Year's. But this year we had a bowl game, so we didn't have one of those shows anyway. So Gomez didn't have to play his cards then. But I should have had my Gomez-like yellow legal pad with all the notes and hieroglyphics.
He has a million things written down there, at least.
Yeah, it's quite the filing system that the G-Man has working. But odds and ends going on here. We'll keep an eye on the women's basketball game. Should end any minute now. Looks like Virginia Tech has taken the upper hand lately, 57-50. A little less than 7 minutes to go in that one. DeAsia Fair has 17 to lead the Orange in that one. This, of course, is a lull in the schedule as far as the ACC is concerned. A couple of the notable results this week. Of course, you had your game on Monday night. Did that turn out to be, we foreshadowed a little bit, how tough a turnaround is this? You get back at 2:30, you turn around, you play a 7 o'clock game. Did that have any impact in your mind?
We just don't talk about it. It could.
You don't let it be.
It was surprising to me. Virginia talked about their legs. They played a 12 o'clock game at home. Didn't have to go anywhere until Sunday. We finished at 2. We got home at 2 in the morning, and if anybody was tired, it should be us, not them. And but we were good. We hung in there. That's a very tough turnaround.
Well, you've been in that time slot before. The better teams get the better television positions. You've had your share of those ESPN.
Well, we should have played in the afternoon on Saturday. That's the only problem I have. And, we played through it anyway, but we should have. We definitely should have played in the afternoon on Saturday. That would have been much better.
If you'd like to hit us up on Q Sports Talk, you can do that in the chat. We'll see if I can read them well enough to pitch those to Coach Boeheim over the course of the night. We had some people on the radio side ask for an update on the playing situation for the boys, for Buddy and Jimmy, and Jimmy's got a change in locale.
Yeah, he's in the Czech Republic, 30 minutes. A small city 30 minutes outside of Prague, which is a beautiful city. He's going in, I think, Prague either tonight or tomorrow. But, he likes it. Nice team. They're in second place. And his Greek team was just impossible. They were just a new team in the first division. And no matter what, they just got beat every game. The one game they won was early in the year. They made a three-quarter court shot to win the game. They were down 2 and made a three-quarter. But, it was tough sledding. But he learned a lot. It was good for him to play in that A division. It was tough for him, but it was good.
So, I'm sure there's plenty. This is a stupid thing to say, but I want to say the movie Mission Impossible, the opening scene is set in Prague, and you just get a feel for just how beautiful a place it is. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to see
it's supposed to be one of the prettiest cities in Europe, I think.
Yeah. On the Q Sports Talk chat, you've alluded to this over the last few weeks. Do you see a silver lining in competing down to the wire with the likes of Miami?
You don't like it. It just shows that you're able to, but it's not good. It's not anything you're really happy about, but it's certainly better than getting beat by 15 and you say, well, we're just not even close. You don't want that. And it's a good thing in that way, but it's still not anything you like when you lose. There's nothing to really like about losing. It's just the way it is.
This one I think you've addressed. We can put it to bed. It really had to do with the mechanics of the other night. You said the misunderstanding. You didn't know whether an announcement had been made to the media relative to Benny Williams' status.
I never even really thought about it, but I really thought that would, had been released. It was a personal thing. So it caught me a little bit when he asked the question. I was like, "That's what you're going to ask?" I mean, and then as he said, "Well, we don't know." Then that's when I realized, okay. And then I answered the question. He made a face, so that's why people didn't see that. That's why I made the comment. I made a little face over there.
For people that aren't aware of the press conferences,
really?
Not the cameras all point one way in the press conference.
It was no big deal. It was certainly the farthest thing in the world from bullying somebody. You don't know what bullying is if that's what you think bullying is. Like, just question whether it was a good question or not. The biggest thing in press conferences, I have answered 98% of the questions I've asked for 47 years in press conference. Every once in a while, I just don't want to answer one, and I walk out like North Carolina. The question was, can you finish games? We just finished the Georgia Tech game and the Notre Dame game. At the end, we took them apart at the end, both those games. And the ironic thing is North Carolina, it wasn't about finishing. We were trying to get into the game. We were behind for 38 minutes. So that's not a finishing thing.
I wonder if that would have been different if it wasn't already 8 minutes into your press conference, because you came out here on your radio show shortly the next night or whatever, and you basically answered that question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just wasn't. I was almost over. I was ready to leave anyway. I was not happy. And, we shoot 3 free throws. And, I mean, it was not I think there's a conception that you're supposed to go in and answer all the questions and be nice and smile and everything when you have a gut-wrenching, horrible loss. And it doesn't work that way. Human nature isn't like that. I'm not able to do that. Some diplomats might be able to do it. I'm not that much of a diplomat. And so, I show that emotion and that action in press conferences. And most people appreciate the honesty, and then that's the way it means to me. It means that much. So, I'm not ever going to apologize for that. I mean, we're not happy there. We want to win that game. Any game that we have a chance to win, we want to win. And when we don't, it's crushing. And you just really don't want to answer any questions, and you especially don't want to get in a situation where you explain something and then you get the question after that on what you just explained. That's very, very upsetting. I'm not teaching a class here. I don't need to be patient. This isn't.
Well, not in the press conference or that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and the specific to Benny, and I think because of the way that went down, there really weren't the follow-ups or whatever. Nobody's trying to pry into Benny's personal situation, but just for clarity, he did come back to practice.
Yeah, and if it had just been released early, I would have said, we've already answered that. Yeah. It was personal, and he wanted to come back Wednesday. He did. You can read into it anything you want. I guess that's what people do. But this is what I talked to him. I talked to his father. I said, hey, he needs a day off. That's fine. Just take a personal day and think about it and, do what you want to do. It's always tough when you lose your job. That's a tough thing. And he needed time to process that. And, we'll see. He hasn't played well. There's no secret. Malik has been a better player on the court. It's not something that you say, well, I don't know about that. No, that's what it's been. But he can help us. But he's got to come with the attitude of, I'm going to go show people. It's kind of, when you lose your job in a basketball sense, and I've done it, everybody's done it at different times, you give up, you let go, feel bad and feel sorry for yourself, or you say, I'm going to go show. I hope he goes out and gets 15 points and shows.
Well, there's nothing more famous than Michael Jordan being cut from his.
Yeah, there's a million stories like that. And there's a million guys that have, been caught and had to come back, and they do. Kid in Miami's making $100 million, and he was cut in 2 different places. He didn't even start at Michigan senior year, and he's making $100 million now. So, Jeremy Grant, people said he couldn't make it. He wasn't playing very well in Philly, and worked his way up, and now I think he just turned down $100 million. So that's pretty good.
Paulie said that when we get to this portion of the show, a lot of it's about golf, which I have no problem with. And I'm glad Ryan wrote this in the chat, the question, because I didn't see the origination of this, but Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon were talking about it, pardon the interruption. it's been thrown out there that what if there were a Ryder Cup style event between the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour?
Yeah.
Tiger and Phil as captains.
Yeah.
It'd be the most watched golf event in history. No kidding, right?
That'd be huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently, this was posed to Phil Mickelson. It says it sounds great, but we would dominate them so soundly. He's speaking for LIV. It would be over so quickly they'd have to kill an hour of dead time on TV.
Well, they're not winning the tournaments they're in with the tour.
Phil Mickelson's not one of them, right? So.
Well, none of them are. I don't think they've won a tournament on like the Opens or the.
Oh, the majors. Well, they haven't really been that many, right?
Yeah, but they've been in. They've been in, and they just Reed did give McIlroy a run, but he didn't win.
Right.
McIlroy won, so they, from what I've seen, and I'm not studying this, they haven't won any of the events that they're in there. And I think it's hard when you're just playing 10 events. What did they play last year?
8, I think.
8 events.
This year, 14.
And you're playing 8 events and you're 3 rounds versus other guys are playing 22 events.
No pressure of a cut.
In 4 rounds. They're just going to be better. They're going to be more in shape. They're going to be more ready to win. And but it would be an interesting thing. But and once the lawsuits get settled, once everything gets worked out, these guys eventually are going to be able to play in the majors. They'll figure out a way because you don't want Dustin Johnson and those guys not playing in a major, or else you don't have a major. You don't have
not major.
You don't have the best players in the world. You got to have the best players in the world to say you got the Masters winner. If you got 4 guys that are Cameron Smith and they don't play, so they got to figure that out. And when they figure that out down the road, they got the Ryder Cup every 2 years, the President's Cup. They fit this in 1 year, and it'll be a huge event.
Oh, it'll be fantastic.
Huge event, and But I mean, shoot, they'll have to figure it out as long as they back this LIV thing. It's going to stay. I mean, they're
running out of money yet.
They're not going to. This is a decimal point. They spent $1 billion out there, probably. That's not even a decimal point. They probably made $180 billion last year in the oil business. So it's not even something they would consider. And whether you like them or not, nobody does, I don't think. They're getting a lot of publicity about this. And, I mean, we have ties with all those, with Saudi Arabia, all those churches. Anyway.
That's the Greg Norman point, which is like, look, all the companies you think of that sponsor PGA events, they do business in Saudi Arabia, too.
This is really about the PGA Tour wanting to control golf, and I don't blame them. They're making a lot of money. This has been the best thing for players ever. The players would have had to go on strike. They've just added
on both tours, right?
Well, I mean, this tour, our tour, I don't even know the numbers, but they probably the players are playing for an extra $200 million. I know Kevin Roy qualified, and he's going out there. Before you qualified, you went out there to pay everything yourself. He's getting $500,000, something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's a minimum for the year now if you have your card.
I think $500,000. That they're going to pay for until he wins it, and then you don't get it, but. And the tournament purses are way up, so I guess I think the money was there. They just weren't letting the players get a hold of it. Now they either let the players get a hold of it, or they're going to lose the tour, and they won't have a tour. So I
don't know if you had a chance to see him Saturday in Blacksburg, but Danny Geis was at the game.
No, I didn't see him.
And it's just fun to live vicariously or watch him for the years. So around the 03 team, he's a 10 or 12-year-old camper. He came to your camp. His father's an alum. He would hang around. He'd rebound for the guys and whatever. So we got to know him. He's a good little basketball player. And back then they said, for his age group, this guy is one of the best golfers in the country. Yeah. Long story short, he just made his first PGA start at the Sony Open.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, it's hard to make it out there. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to make it out there. These guys are so good, and the guys on the Korn Ferry Tour, they're really good. You look at, they play really good courses, hard courses, and they're like 22 under, 24 under. I mean,
well, that's the thing. He shot, I think, 2 under in the tournament he was in, but the cut was 4 under, and the winner has 27 under or something ridiculous at the end of the day. Yeah. Edna's on the media conspiracy here. No need for media. Real fans would just come in person. No need for that at all.
There's no problem with media. Media is fine. It's just, every once in a while I'm going to react to something. And my wife says I shouldn't do it anyway, but once in a while I do. And this is the first time in a couple of years, probably, these 2 little things. But
a little wild card here. Do you still talk to Coach Calhoun?
I haven't talked to Coach K. I talked to Coach K last week, but I haven't talked to Coach Calhoun in a year or two. He's finally now retired. He got out of the business finally. I'm sure he's down playing golf.
Which reminds me, we didn't do our moment here for Billy Packer's passing.
Great.
82 years of age.
Big, huge part of basketball, college basketball. Huge part with Al McGuire and Dick Enberg. They had the greatest announcing team ever. I remember them coming into town and doing games. And Billy was really smart business guy. Really did well in business. Had some
real estate.
A lot of business deals. He had deals. And of course, Al McGuire was one of a kind. Billy and him did things together. And
Al McGuire's notes were all on the all on the pad.
Well, he came in. He didn't know who. He said, "Who's on your team? What's the other guys?" Like he knew Pearl. He said, "Who's the other guy?" Well, who's the other guys on Georgetown? I mean, I know Patrick, but who's the other? He didn't know any of the guys on the team. And Billy knew every player, where they were from, and what they did. And Billy did all that. And Al would just make some comment about, well, that's nice. There they go, the Big Dipper.
Yeah, so they were almost, they were the best three-man team of the early days of college basketball on TV, and then you look at the Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, Bill Raftery team. That's the only thing that sort of emulated them in kind of the three-man move.
And I like Sean, obviously Syracuse guy, and I like those guys, but they were no they were no Al McGuire.
Well, they're firing in the Q Sports Talk. They all kinds of wild cards. You listen to Ronnie Cycli's music. I would have a hard time.
Oh, he's great. I guess he's one of the top, not the top, but he's one of the good DJs that gets like 75,000 or something for a night for 2 or 3 hours.
That's not a bad gig.
The top guys, I found this out 2 or 3 years ago. The top guys for 2 hours, $150,000 or $200,000.
Whoever's playing, you want to know who the top people are? Whoever's at the upcoming NBA All-Star Weekend, they'll trust me. They take that stuff seriously. They bring in the right people. And players have their DJs and their parties and that type of thing. All right, Q Sports Talk. Give me a couple more minutes here if you have anything else for this week. Biggest challenge about Boston College, Coach, they're coming together, and Quentin Post is really opening eyes around the league.
Post is really good inside, and they're a really good defensive team. They're playing really good basketball.
Then after that, Florida State team. Yeah.
And they're good enough. They can beat anybody. They just have struggled, but they've got good players.
Back to golf. There's this one comes up every year around this time when people are itching for the summer. They want to know where you like to play around here.
We're fortunate. We have a lot of really, really nice golf courses around here. Really good. I mean, for $25, you can go play golf and get a cart and play at a lot of different places that are good, public courses. Green Lakes, you go down to Turning Stone, their courses are great. Radisson, Timber Banks. You got tons of good public courses. You want to just travel a little bit. Seven Oaks down at Colgate, that's Robert Trent Jones
redone the clubhouse this past summer. Yeah,
I heard that. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I heard they did that. That's a great course. Looked like
they were building. It's funny. Cooperstown's awesome. Yeah. I texted early in the season playing at Colgate, and I texted Coach Langle, like, are you around? And he said, well, I'm out of town, but if I were, we're right off the 5th tee or something is where you could come by and swing into the office or something. But then what it looked like they were doing there, and you probably remember this with your college golf past, it looked like they were extending some holes, building bigger, deeper tees, probably to attract a big-time college event again.
Yeah, probably. It's a tremendous golf course. So
toughest opening hole probably in the area.
That's a hard course. That's a hard hole. That's the hardest hole for me to play. I don't think I've made 4 there in 25 times. I don't think, and really, and I'm usually happy to get a 5 there. But and then down in Rome, they got that great course up on the lake there. That's just phenomenal golf course. Donald Ross course.
Yeah, there's a pillar to him there. Here's a good one. What's your favorite Stevie Thompson memory?
Oh, man. Alley-oops. He just went and got it, 6'2", and just would go get it. Sherman would throw the ball up, and you'd go like, what? he threw one to Stevie from half court once, and it's like, what is he doing? And there, Stevie went up there and got it, and dunked it, and went back. He's a great player. He never said a word. Just played hard all the time.
The story that you've told me that I always repeat comes to mind with Stevie Thompson is, talking about players and free throw shooting in games and practice. He was not a good free throw shooter, and statistically that's borne out. But in practice, you had said he might have made 5 of the first 10, but then 80 of the next 90, right? Because you just get locked in. And
once he got locked in, but he'd never make more than 4 of the first 5, 4 or 5 of the first. That's what he shot, 47% from the free throw line. He couldn't. He's the only player I've ever seen that couldn't shoot and could still average 12, 14 points a game. He just could get to the basket. And
on your current team, the guys who need to work on their shot, do you see that happening? You see Judah as a shooter down the road?
He's making his 15-footers. He's making his foul shots. He's just got to extend it out a little bit. He's not there yet, but he's got to square up a little bit better, get a little bit better hand position. But that can come. That definitely can come.
It tends to be an off-season thing, right, in terms of the amount of work you got to do.
Yeah.
Toughest place to play in the Big East?
Wherever Lou Carnesecca said this more than once, and I always listen to Lou. Wherever they have the best players, that's the toughest place to play.
Well, I don't know why I just had a Big East memory just because it was on ESPN yesterday. Tom Brady, of course, retired, and I know you have a lot of respect for him. And then speaking of Big East in New York, Mike Francesa comes on ESPN yesterday and says, Peyton Manning was the best regular season quarterback ever. Joe Montana, the greatest Super Bowl quarterback ever.
Well, he doesn't like Tom Brady because he's from New York.
Right. That was taken as a slap.
All you do is see Peyton Manning and his brother.
Yeah.
Wherever you look, they're there.
Right.
And they're in a commercial or they're in something, and they're good guys too.
Yeah, this is a good one to wrap on, and I know you've put thought into this, Coach, but it's talking about, everybody I think is curious. What is the next era of Syracuse basketball? College sports is changing to such a degree. When you are no longer the coach here, what do you see as the biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge for everybody in college sports is the NIL. You have to get the NIL down. We haven't benefited from it. We've had talks about NIL and people doing things in the future with NIL, but our players have some NIL, but it's small, and that's a big part of how that figures out for the future. I mean, I know we lost a couple football players because of NIL. We can't afford to do that. When you get a good one, you got to hold on to them. So that's a big part of it. The transfer portal is still going to be a big part. Manage that. But it's, the thing with the transfer portal, if you get 2 or 3 seniors that are really good and you're a lower level school, you can actually catch the top teams. When you get a good couple freshmen down there, you're not catching the top teams. But if you get a couple really good transfer portal guys that can average 15 or 16, you can catch the top teams in the league right away, which you never could do that before. So the top teams always stayed up there. Now you can catch those teams, and it's very possible.
Well,
that's what Pittsburgh did. Wake Forest did it. I think those are 2 prime examples. But in our league, Miami has certainly capitalized on the transfer portal. That's been a huge reason. They were headed down.
Yeah, and it wasn't by accident. They were aggressive.
Yeah, they paid. They went out and got guys and paid them. Yeah. That's simple as that. And that's really the future of college sports. It's there's no secret here.
Yeah,
no secret.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see to what degree it's out in the open. I saw
I think in the future,
Alabama today, because there's always, I guess the institution itself is not to promote the NIL activity. Alabama just came out today and said, hey, this is our collective. This is what we call it. So,
but they spent $4.1 million a couple of years ago on football. So, yeah, I mean, they're doing it. I think in the future, the one thing about the tournament expansion, I think you're going to be in leagues because of this. There aren't going to be 6, 5, 6. There could be 8, 9, 10 teams in a league because these teams are getting good players. And now you're going to have 10 good teams in 5 different leagues. Well, they're not going to the tournament. So how do you get those good teams in the tournament? You actually have to expand the tournament. That's the only way, because
the talent's being evened out.
Yeah, and there's more good teams, and the top teams can be beaten.
Yep.
It's not like they can't be beaten. I mean, Tennessee's leading the SEC, I think, and they got beat by the last place team by 13, 14.
Thought I just saw, did I see that? I can't think that I should have written down the number of 1 and 2 teams that have been beaten this year. It's some ridiculous. I want to say it's 12 teams that have been, or 12 teams that have, put it the other way, 12 teams that have beaten a 1 and 2,
yeah,
1 or 2 teams.
And the only reason it's not a lot more is because Purdue really is good. If they weren't, there'd be
They're
more.
Stick there,
so it's the future. That's what college basketball is going to look like. There's going to be more good teams, more balance, and teams. There's always been balance, but now it's like really close, and it's really hard to discern. Like, at the end of this year, if it's close between Pittsburgh and North Carolina, you can't let Pittsburgh go. You can't let North Carolina go.
Pittsburgh beat them twice.
That got to mean something. So it'll be interesting when it all gets said and done. What happens?
Yep. All right, Coach. Thanks. Safe travels tomorrow to Boston. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Orange and BC Saturday. It's a 5:00 tip there. We'll be back out here next Thursday to do it all again, but not before the back-to-back road games between now and then. Boston College and Florida State. So thanks everybody on the Q Sports Talk chat for taking part. Thanks to our friends from Adirondack Bank. They came out to hang in for the show here tonight at Carrabba's, and for Paulie and the crew and Josh and everybody back at the station. Matt Park saying so long, everybody. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll be right back here at Carrabba's next Thursday night.